in his book. And the first part alone will just settle any doubt of exactly what was happening in the early times of creation, because he names the angels involved with the rebellion. There's two different rebellions. You had Satan's rebellion, and I started off talking about this, where there was angelic civilizations on all of our planets, and the Lord destroyed them in judgment. And so all of the angels that lived on those planets were relegated to the inner earths. All these planets are hollow, just like Earth. They're all hollow. And so they all live inside of these planets today. You look at the moon, you look at Mars, you look at Saturn, Venus. They all live in the inner hollow aspects of these planets. So the Lord replenishes the earth. He recreates the earth with his angels at that time. His angels, not the Anunnaki, because Satan was already cast out and a castaway being at that time. But with the angels who were with him, that recreated and replenished the earth and rebuilt the earth, created. I don't know how much say the angels had at that time over this first creation. It just says that they were made in their image. They were made in an angelic image, and so. But if you look at the earliest civilizations of mankind, because there was obviously a civilization created in Genesis chapter 1 here, that Cain and them ran into from Genesis chapter 2, because when Cain was cast away out of the Garden of Eden and away from Adam and Eve, he wanted to deal with this other civilization that was here on earth at that time. Some of the earliest civilizations being the ancient Egyptians. They were an early ancient race. Another ancient race that seems to be here for eons is the Asian race, the Chinese Orientals people. And so you have those two races, the Orientals and the ancient early Egyptians, that were probably the oldest races on Earth. And so it had to have been one of those two that Cain mingled in with, and then created his own seed and offspring with. He didn't have I know if you read some of these books, earlier books, they'll say that Cain and Abel were twins. I've read other ones where it says Cain had a sister twin, and Abel had a sister twin, and the real reason that Cain killed Abel was because they were going to force Cain to marry his twin sister, and he wanted to marry Abel's. You can get into some really funny stuff. And you don't know if it's true. You're just, okay, whatever. I'll just wait till the Lord reveals it. And you just it's like listening with one ear and just, in one ear, out the other, until maybe something later, something grabs you and you can verify whether it's true or what kind of truth is in it. Until then, it's just like chewing grass and chewing, just kind of chew on it for a while and stew on it for a while and see where it goes. But there's a lot of different stories about the beginning there. The Lord hasn't told me one way or the other about the twin thing, if they were actually twins. I did try to look at them in the Bible codes, and the only thing I really found that stuck out at me the most was that Cain and Abel were very tall. They were very tall beings. Some of the terms used in regards to describing angels is that the Hebrews used. It's the same thing that I found in regards to Cain and Abel. It's very, very tall beings, very tall guys. And so you're probably looking at 6'7", 6'7", 6'8", 7'8". It doesn't say how tall they were, but it just says that they were very tall. And so there goes the concept of a small, Middle Eastern peoples type thing where they're 5'4", because they were very tall. They were very tall. And they were Aryan. One thing that you'll see in the Bible codes about these earlier races is that they were Aryan. They were Aryan races. Aryan being that they had blonde hair, red hair. Red hair was very dominant even among the Israelites. Esau had red hair. And the Lord's, Jacob, I loved Esau. I hated to have an article on that. If you looked at Europe today, that would be what ancient civilization was back then. Okay, and so when you start seeing things, pictures start to form of how exactly things really were back then, it starts to peel back the layers of the fog that we're all in because we have half-truths everywhere. And we really don't know who we are and where we came from because we don't have all the truths being told to us. And so it just takes a lot of digging and a lot of research and a lot of prayer because the Lord gives pieces here and there. He just gives pieces. And I've had questions a long time. I know 2 years ago, I started calling Lucifer Lucy. And people that are on my list, we always refer to Lucifer as Lucy and stuff. It's not just calling a guy a girl. Seriously, always coming back to the fact, it seems, that Lucifer is a lot different, Satan's a lot different than what we think he is. Was Satan a woman? Was it a woman? And so I've been doing a lot of stuff on that lately. And what I'm finding is that all of these pagan gods, I'm on a rabbit trail, but hang with me here, I'll get back in here. All of these pagan gods had a male and a female counterpart. A male and a female. There was Asherah and Ashtaroth, Iris and Osiris. And so you go through all of these pagan gods, and there's always a male and a female counterpart. And so there's more to that than we're led to believe. I know I've asked people that are, and I appreciate these people more than I do half the others I run online who just lie to you, that are just Satanists. They'll tell you they're Satanists, they're in the Brotherhood, they're Masons, whatever. And I have no problem with these people, because if they don't want to hear about the Word of God, fine. But don't play games with me. If you just tell me who you are and you have questions to ask, I'll answer them. I answer questions for a lot of people. And I won't proselytize. I won't try to convert them. I'll just answer whatever questions they're asking me. And every once in a while I'll ask them a question and something comes up. And even they don't know, which I find amusing. Some of these Satanists that I've talked to that have actually been to this Crystal City that I talk about at crystalcityfraud.com, this fake New Jerusalem that Satan's bringing to earth. I don't know if he's bringing it to earth or bringing it up out of the earth, but it's coming. It's supposed to be a mimicry of New Jerusalem hovering above the earth when Satan's here as God. They don't even know if he's a female. A lot of these people, he will manifest himself as a male to the Great Brotherhood, which is a huge satanic organization across the United States. It's called the Great Brotherhood, East and West Coast, Midwest. Actually has weddings in churches across the United States. They have their whole kingdom divided up into, witches have regions, and the bride of Satan, and they have actual weddings with Satan and stuff like that. And so they've seen Satan manifest as a white male. They've seen him in white suits, very good looking, bronze colored skin, blonde hair. And then other people will say that they saw Set, the Egyptian name for Satan, devil, which is Set, and they see him as a horned god with hoofs, and just different various manifestations of Satan, of this Lucifer. And so there's so many different ones. I've been asking the Lord, what's the real one? What's the real one? I want to know the real name. Was Satan a hermaphrodite? Is that why there's so many different variations of these pagan gods? If you look at the Buddha god, the Buddha statue is a hermaphrodite. And we do have that junk gene, that freak DNA gene from somewhere, of hermaphrodites. And so I'm really thinking that this Lucifer was a hermaphrodite, and that's why he can shapeshift, can morph into either male or female or any animal. They can morph. Bible calls it transform. They can transform as angels of light. It's really simply they can morph as angels of light. They can morph into it. They can morph into an angelic being. They can morph into a man. They can morph into looking like a woman. They can morph, and it's not just Satan. It's all of his forces that are with him as ministers of unrighteousness here to deceive the world. They have this ability to morph, to transform.